Samsung's next major foldable launch is already generating a lot of excitement. But a new leak suggests the upcoming lineup could arrive with one very disappointing compromise. This summer, Samsung is widely expected to introduce 3 brand new foldable smartphones, including the Galaxy Z Flip 8, the Galaxy Z Fold 8, and the rumored larger Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide. These devices are expected to represent Samsung's latest push in the foldable market. And naturally, fans were hoping to see major upgrades across the board, especially in display technology. But if this latest report is accurate, Samsung may not be giving its new foldables the display leap many people were expecting. According to a fresh leak from Korean publication ET News, Samsung may continue using its older M13 OLED display material in all 3 upcoming foldable models. Instead of upgrading to the newer and more advanced M14 generation, if this information turns out to be true, it would mean Samsung is sticking with the same display material for the 3rd year in a row in its foldable lineup. The M13 OLED material originally debuted in the Galaxy Z Flip 6 and Galaxy Z Fold 6 back in 2024. So seeing Samsung potentially reuse it again in 2026 is definitely surprising, and for some fans, a little disappointing. What makes this leak even more interesting is that Samsung clearly has access to newer display technology already. The company's newer M14 OLED material is reportedly being used in the Galaxy S26 Ultra, which is one of Samsung's most premium flagship smartphones. And according to reports, the M14 panel brings some very meaningful improvements over M13. It is said to deliver around 20 to 30% more brightness, while also improving overall power efficiency. Those might sound like simple spec upgrades on paper, but for foldable phones, they are especially important. Brightness plays a huge role in the day-to-day experience of using a foldable device. A brighter display means better visibility outdoors, stronger HDR performance, more vibrant visuals, and a more premium overall feel. On the other hand, better efficiency can directly help battery life, and battery life remains one of the biggest challenges for foldable smartphones. Because foldables have large displays, slim bodies, and complex hinge systems, battery capacity and power management are always under pressure. So if Samsung really skips M14 in favor of the older M13, that could mean users miss out on one of the most practical upgrades these devices could have offered. At the same time, this does not automatically mean the Galaxy Z Flip 8, Galaxy Z Fold 8, and Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide will have bad displays. Samsung still makes some of the best smartphone panels in the world, and even an older OLED material can deliver an excellent experience if it is properly optimized. The report suggests Samsung could still make improvements to the M13-based displays this year. That may include enhanced performance compared to when the panel was first introduced, as well as lower material input required to achieve the same level of output. In simpler words, Samsung may be refining the existing display technology to make it more efficient from a manufacturing standpoint, while still improving the end-user experience. That kind of optimization would make sense from a business perspective. Samsung may be trying to get more value out of a mature display material that it already understands well. Instead of shifting to a newer and more expensive panel for devices that are already costly to build, in other words, Samsung could be choosing consistency, manufacturing efficiency, and cost control over a headline-grabbing display upgrade. So the obvious question becomes, why would Samsung hold back on display tech in devices that are supposed to sit at the top of its foldable portfolio? The answer may come down to rising component costs. Across the technology industry, prices for key parts are going up. RAM is getting more expensive. NAND storage is becoming more costly. Mobile processors are also under pricing pressure. A lot of this is being driven by the ongoing AI boom, which has dramatically increased demand for memory, chips, and server-grade hardware across the global supply chain. As more companies invest in AI data centers and server farms, competition for components becomes more intense, and that eventually affects smartphone manufacturing too. For Samsung, this creates a difficult balancing act. The company wants its new foldables to remain competitive in areas that matter to buyers, such as performance, multitasking, storage, and memory. At the same time, it likely wants to avoid major price increases. especially because foldable phones are already some of the most expensive consumer smartphones on the market. If Samsung decides to save money on display material by sticking with M13, that could free up budget for other components, or help it maintain pricing without cutting too deeply into margins. That means using the older M13 OLED panel could be a strategic, cost-controlled decision rather than a purely technical one. It may help Samsung continue offering premium specs like 12 gigabytes or even 16 gigabytes of RAM, strong camera hardware, large storage options, and a flagship class chipset, all without pushing prices even higher than consumers are willing to accept. For many buyers, that might actually be a trade-off worth making. Not everyone will notice whether the panel is based on M13 or M14, but they will notice if the phone costs significantly more. Still, for enthusiasts and longtime Samsung fans, this kind of decision may feel underwhelming. Foldable smartphones are supposed to represent Samsung's most futuristic and innovative devices. They are the products where many people expect Samsung to show off its very best hardware and most advanced engineering. So hearing that these expensive foldables may not get the latest OLED display material, while another flagship like the Galaxy S26 Ultra does, could leave some people questioning Samsung's priorities. There is also the issue of perception. Even if Samsung manages to tune the M13 panel extremely well, the fact that it is not using the latest display material may become a talking point around the launch. In the premium smartphone segment, specs and component generations matter not just for performance, but also for marketing. Buyers spending top-tier money want to feel like they are getting the best of everything. If Samsung's newest foldables launch with an older display foundation, some consumers may see that as Samsung cutting corners, even if the final real-world experience remains excellent, of course. It is important to remember that all of this is still based on leaks and early reports. Samsung has not officially confirmed the display material for the Galaxy Z Flip 8, Galaxy Z Fold 8, or Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide. Plans can always change before launch, and final products sometimes differ from what supply chain reports initially suggest. But ET News does have a solid reputation, and the reasoning behind this leak seems believable enough to take seriously, even for Samsung itself. The M13 panel is likely much cheaper to produce than M14, since Samsung Display and Samsung's mobile division are both operating within a larger business ecosystem. Decisions like this are rarely just about technical capability. They are also about margins, sourcing, production scale, market conditions, and long-term strategy. If Samsung believes most customers will still be happy with a refined M13 panel, then from a business standpoint, the company may see little reason to spend more on M14 for foldables this year. This leak may also point to a much larger trend in the smartphone market. As manufacturing costs continue rising, brands may increasingly rely on older but proven components, refined internal designs, and smaller year-over-year hardware upgrades to protect profitability. Instead of delivering dramatic leaps every year, companies may focus more on optimization and efficiency. Premium phones can sometimes hide these changes behind polished software, AI features, camera tuning, and design updates. But eventually, consumers begin to notice when certain hardware areas stop moving forward at the same pace.